Hello, my friends, and welcome to this special July 30th edition of Today in Sudoku. We're going to give you a little bit of the ins and outs of a story of self-setting Sudoku, what's going on there, what's with the final boss puzzle that's releasing soon, what's with the contest that was talked about yesterday. This is a very special project, but it's also a project that we knew would be both controversial or at least confusing when it started, because who wants to solve an AI-generated puzzle? I don't know that I want to today, but I can dream of the future when it's not just slop, it's actually humans with AI and eventually AI on its own, whatever AI means, if it's actual intelligence, artificial intelligence. I want to tell you something about being the runner of a blog in this day and age. If I look at ways people contribute to the site, humans I know, friends, people I've never met, they'll sometimes like, they'll sometimes comment, they'll sometimes subscribe. Bots do the same, and bots love to comment. You'd be surprised by some of the things bots will say. When it comes to showing how to solve, a lot of people are solving the puzzles. Many times they do it better if they're coached. AI can solve many of the puzzles, more often using brute force, but even that terminology isn't well described because a lot of how a human searches is trial, 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 finding the step. We just don't put the trial across the whole space. We don't try all of 1 to 9 in the same for loop or do while loop. We think in C a little differently than that. And the same goes with construction. With an editor, humans can rarely, not usually, can make a good puzzle. And AI can make so many puzzles, they sometimes run into a good one. If they just knew how to select it, they'd actually be crushing human design right now. But there's nothing they're really doing that's anything but crashing into a solution that makes their content more than slop. And as we get to sort of rarer props, like how to make a make a haiku on Sudoku, anyone can try that. We still haven't gotten any that we love, but random responses could be creative if they hit the reader in a certain way. Humans that know me could make a very rare and special response there. So let's double click on the comment row, and I'm going to give you a set of examples of comments that have been on the site recently. I'm going to read them first. I'm going to talk about how much I love the comment, and I'm going to tell you if I actually allowed the comment to be on my site, knowing sort of who the author was. So we recently talked about AI-generated slop. We had a whole video about that. And a comment on that post was, I get what you're saying about repetitive puzzles. It's unfortunate that automation has led to so many lackluster designs. I find myself gravitating towards puzzles that have a unique twist or unexpected challenge. Those are the ones that stick with me long after I finish them. That sounds like my life lesson. It's the video spit back at me. Of course, that's on the site, but unfortunately, that is AI slop. That was generated by one of the trap signals that go to certain IP addresses, certain websites. If you actually can see all the info that's hidden within WordPress about where it's starting from, that top comment, not legitimate, although I would have loved anyone to have said it. Comment 2. I'm still boggled by how fast you are, Thomas. I'd take 2.26 times as long as you did, which I think I can safely say without it being a spoiler. Of course, it's classic Clover to deliver a puzzle full of super short thermo that nevertheless have very few options. Wonderful puzzle. This is the best comment on this whole slide that I can say is both from an identified, not an anonymous human, an identified human I've met in person, and the way it's actually stated, and even on the comment, like if someone went to the comment, they know exactly who this is, but like 2.6 times, he did not give his time of like X minutes. He gave a math to apply to my time, which means the data to become a, I've never seen that framing before. Like that's a 4 paperclip comment. That's like not just once amazing, it's twice amazing. 2 times 2 is 4. I love this comment. Comment 3. I've always appreciated how the various Sudoku variations keep things fresh. Each new type like Thermo or Arrow Sudoku adds a new layer of strategy. And it's interesting to see how puzzle creators like Snyder manage to balance difficulty with enjoyment. This is again AI slop, just knowing things about the authors. And the AI slop that's the most compelling right now tends to have a 3-sentence, sometimes 2-sentence with a whole lot of commas form, but they're all about this length. So there's a pattern, not that these are from the same slop shop necessarily. I've often had the same slop shop follow a path, and then there's sort of a second one coming in. But of the 3 comments I loved a lot from the ones I picked this morning, only one is from an identified human I've met in person. There are more AI slop comments in the top bin than anywhere else. Thanks, Clover701 got me a hat. You can see this kind of comment on Discord too. This is one that came on our blog. We don't get a lot of gas comments on our blog. This is in the yellow because it's not adding a ton of discussion, but also it's specifically from an anonymous post. There's not enough history of this particular individual or bot posting to say it's a computational bot. I'd say it's 99% likely to be human, but it's not helping me add to the conversation. Clover doesn't know how to reach back out to them. There's no email that's even hidden to just us to send. Like the email doesn't have to be on the blog post or the blog comment, but like this is not a full connection back and forth with the author. 5th comment. I've always appreciated how mini Sudoku strips the puzzle down to its essence. No room for fluff, just pure logic. Thomas Snyder's approach highlights how constraint can actually spark, there's a little typo there, can actually spark creativity, especially in such a compact grid. It's a great reminder that even smaller puzzles can pack a real mental punch. Few things here. I've never used the term, and around the internet have not used the term mini Sudoku. So this is claiming a long history of this, where this is new. So this is just taking the title of the post and putting it into the post. No room for fluff, I agree. The fluff on this comment is the comment. This is AI slop. It's not from any of the spots of number 1 or number 3, but it's exactly made the same way. And these could just be sort of new cover stories. Like AI can make 100 million forms of their accounts. Could just be one group is going across the internet and ruining the internet for most of us. But if I were an aspiring puzzle maker, I didn't actually see, like right now they say like AI image generator is the account name they're using. If they just use like Joe Schmo or Wendy Wu or anything else, like these might go through. I would love anything in green at least to be on the site. And except for these two, like we're not yet there. The last is a pretty common form of a comment from a few of you. There's a nickname that's been commenting on our site for over 12 years. I don't know this person. I assume it's a person based on how often they've done it. They're basically just marking their little flag. Like, I did in this speed, felt slow. I did in this speed, felt awesome, smooth thing. Like sometimes there's some value to the comment. Sometimes it feels like it's a database entry where we were a more competitive site. And I don't know if like these comment times should be stored with that person's account versus on the blog, but this is the reality of our comments. And I want to say just more specifically, there's a very real trend of pretty compelling comments from AI. So if you want to prove you are intelligent, just adding a comment to the site needs a little extra step, like the second row it showed to us. And for sure, if you're solving or constructing, you need to do more. And so as I've gotten back into solving and now constructing classic Sudoku a ton, I wanted to release a whole set and maybe continue for the rest of this year to release a whole set of classic Sudoku in a way you haven't seen, which is not just a daily puzzle, but a daily puzzle where it's a serial addition. The next puzzle may relate to a prior one. There may be a new prompt to the audience to do something, which will change what comes up next. I felt an interactive story would be a really interesting way to do this. And the topic I chose, because it was motivated by AI bothering me, was a story of self-setting Sudoku. What would it look like if you actually started to get a good generator of classic puzzles and just let it go? And I should, if I were a more mentally stable person some days, I should be claiming authorship on everything that was used during the series, at least some fraction of the authorship on everything in the series. But as I introduced the series, I used a metaphor of self-driving cars. The lowest level of assistance versus full automation has different amounts of your hand still on a wheel, or you're viewing the final product before it goes out versus it just goes out. This was this 4 to 6 week series now that posts classic and near classic Sudoku with different levels of where I'd label it myself as traditional Thomas approach versus much different computational first or computational only, and then I'm pulling from a list kind of approach. And across that, I don't know that I want authorship everywhere, but I do know these are all incredible puzzles. They're released as sets of puzzles. It may be one geometry you see 4 times in a row. It may have, like this example down here's an extra space puzzle, but when we were in the self-driving weeks, we had the lane roads and the yellow divider in the middle. We have a story of redfish, bluefish, where we actually had 9s in the shape of fish and water waves. We had the concept of attention, which is used in image models to hide part of an image with a mask and see where it's looking. Well, we kind of did that metaphor, but we were also introducing mini Sudoku. The same mini Sudoku, one of those comments was saying was great because it's not full of fluff. So this puzzle is a very focused form of Sudoku, but it's also a pretty fast form of Sudoku. It's still challenging. It's not taking away a lot of the core bits, but it's all there. And it goes into a story of how I was training an AI, now called Dr. Sudoku, released it to run, was starting to make mistakes. I had to figure out how to crash it. The people solving on the Discord were figuring out ways to crash it too. Like there's a lot going on here. This is a spoiler-free approach to say there have now been 3 different story arcs of a story of self-setting Sudoku. And it's now going to take a different mode for a while, but this first large body of work has now reached its conclusion with the puzzle that's posting soon called The Final Boss. That's not to say that everything needed to solve this puzzle is just on Grandmaster Puzzles, but every post that I have made or Dr. Sudoku has made between April 2025 and the end of July, so nothing August 1st or forward is needed, is part of this challenge that's going to be there. It does at its core have a classic Sudoku, and we even give the solution in PDF form of that, but knowing the PDF solution may not at all be helpful versus what you need to be doing with this thing. And it's got at least 2, 3, 4 different kinds of challenges, not all Sudoku based, some more puzzle hunt based to go around. Like happy to have people solve as a group, happy to have people solve alone. We've been tracking when different people get individual answers, and that's, if I say this, we're giving 1,000,000 paper clips to the first or best full solution with splits possible. We're doing this. 1,000,000 paper clips is $10,000. There aren't pennies anymore, at least soon they're not making pennies anymore, but where I have 300 million paper clips in my life and I don't want to get to 10 trillion paper clips, that seems a crazy high number. Like donating a small fraction, 10% or less of what I make each year, particularly through puzzle work, back to the puzzle community is important to me. And if no one sufficiently solves this puzzle, $10,000 will be split in half between two groups that matter to me, NAMI for mental illness and Sudoku Con, which is where I got a ton of inspiration and met a cool number of folks. So 5,000 are going to each of them. If you win, you can choose your own places you'd like the donations to go. We can figure some of that out. I'd love you to share your stories. You can also just claim the $10,000. We don't need harder parameters around this. This will be like a donation to you. It won't be a strict prize. But there's just saying this is real, saying this is important, saying this is a rational person, I've put my time into this. I want you to understand, I want the experience to feel rewarding enough for this. And so this to me is a level of an AI challenge puzzle, but the AI is an actual intelligence and you are those actual intelligences. It's not a ChatGPT thing. So to close, to prove your intelligence, we're adding this bottom row, solve a difficult Sudoku puzzle hunt. We're not sure what that will be, but if you don't want to do a puzzle hunt, just want really brilliant Sudoku, please solve the Astoria self-setting Sudoku puzzles from the start. Please see our daily puzzle. We're going to have the gas, which is a daily variant Sudoku, and something from me or from other authors, which will be a daily classic Sudoku, both of which should be fairly approachable, really intriguing puzzles, some of the best out there. I'd actually say the very best out there, but I'm humble most of the time. So thank you, and we'll see you again soon.